Another even larger severe weather risk is going to be present later in the day Thursday, perhaps a little bit into the overnight into early Friday morning as well. Let's break down the details for you. This is the severe thunderstorm outlook put out by the Storm Prediction Center. Notice we have the orange covering a good part of our state this time. That is a 3 out of 5 on the scale, or an enhanced risk. Everyone else in the lower peninsula is in the slight risk, which is the yellow, or 2 out of 5, and just parts of the eastern UP kind of getting grazed with the marginal risk there, 1 out of 5, but honestly I wouldn't expect too much north of the Gaylord area. Now, breaking it down by threat level really helps kind of paint a clearer picture, and I do want to say first of all that this is going to be conditional, which means some of us probably aren't going to see everything because the ingredients are there. It just depends on if we can tap into those ingredients or not. So some of us could tap into it, and some of us couldn't. The ingredients are still there regardless, which is what this is highlighting. So just remember, we have to tap into it. It doesn't mean everyone has the ability to. So this is the tornado specific outlook. And yeah, it does look a little bit scary for sure, but let's break it down for you here really quick. And notice we are getting up there in terms of percentages. We're up to about that 5% range, which is a little more of an elevated risk. Then we have this hatched mark. Now the hatched mark means there's a lot of spin in the atmosphere. Remember what I just said about ingredients being available? That spin could generate some stronger tornadoes. EF2 maybe a little bit higher in some cases. However, it just depends on if we can tap into that or not. So just remember, it's there, but not everyone is going to be able to have that materialize. This is the wind-specific outlook, and I would say this is our most significant threat that we'll be dealing with as we head throughout later in the day, into the evening, and perhaps a little bit into the overnight as well. Yes, the highest possibility is just back to the west by Chicago into Wisconsin. However, we have the red hatches over Michigan, which definitely draws a lot of attention. So this percentage is getting up there. This is a 30% chance of having winds that could be 70 to 75 miles per hour. The hatched area indicates that those hurricane force winds are possible. Hurricane force is 74 miles per hour or greater, and that can cause almost just as much damage as an EF0, EF1 tornado. The thing is with straight line winds, they're over a much larger area, so they can actually cause more damage than just a single tornado in a single localized area. So this is something we have to watch out for very carefully. And lastly, this is the hail specific outlook, and I would say this is a little bit lower on the threat scale, especially with all the warmth and all the humidity. We can generally melt those storms down before they hit the ground. However, in those very tall storms with the very tall, very cold updrafts, larger hail can form, and that could make it down to the ground. So just about a 15% chance here, but we are in the enhanced risk for that hail that could be 1 inch in diameter, so I'm going to be watching out for that as well. Now, because we've already had a good amount of rain in some cases from the previous round of storms, the flash flooding risk is also going to be increased with this second round of storms coming in. So in West Michigan, we're actually in a slight risk of reaching that flash flood criteria with the storm. So what that means is, think of it like the severe weather outlook, but in terms of flash flooding, we could have a couple flash flood warnings in the green, probably just a few here or there, but think of it as kind of like the coverage expanding a little bit. So a few isolated flash flood warnings to just a couple more in the yellow area is what we're expecting tonight. Brad, just get to the timing. Okay, here's the timing part of the storms coming on through. So this is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We're getting the heat, we're getting the humidity, if you still remember that, right? We're going to have heat index readings near or just over 100 for some of us in lower Michigan again. This is 2 o'clock, 3, 4, 5 o'clock right here. 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Now, what we're seeing in the Upper Peninsula, that's not expected to be severe. That's going to be some good rains, though. That's going to help knock down the fire danger and get us some moisture that we really need on some of those drier, dead fuels that we still have up there. So this is, again, 8 o'clock, 9, 10, 11, midnight. So this line likely to fill in a little bit more, but this is the line here that has that possibility to be strong or severe. And as that keeps moving through, it will lose steam just a little bit more. Now keep in mind, this is just one model depiction, so it could vary just a little bit depending on what you're looking. Now this is just a different model that I'm showing you really quick. Timing wise, we're still at 8 o'clock right here, and later into your Thursday evening, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So you can see those Boeing segments coming on through right there, bringing with us the not only the wind risk, but the embedded tornado risk as well. This model really has them fizzling out as they do get a little bit ahead of themselves into the evening. So again, it's conditional. We'll have to see how this plays out, but those ingredients are there. But I just want to say it depends on if we can tap into them. I'll be watching and providing updates as we go throughout the day.